No introduction needed. Trade deadline, come, gone. It's over. The Jays do some shopping, and look, I think
so does everybody else.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things to discuss. You know what? Screw it, Shane. Let's just get this thing rolling, pal.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Blue Jays Center.
Bautista drives it deep left field. Gone!
The sickest Toronto Blue Jays podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Wow. Well, fellas, I mean, trade deadline ended an hour ago, and it has just been a whirlwind all day long. The last couple days, really, but today in particular, it has been crazy around baseball. But let's be honest, we care about one team and one team only, and that is the Toronto Blue Jays. And we all said, right? Cole and I, we talked about it. And I know, Rob, we were all kind of in the same sentiment where we wanted two bullpen arms. You wanted a starter, but you also wanted that, that bench bat. You wanted that outfield bat. Well, you got most of it, and then you got Ty France too. Oh, okay. So quickly before we get into the trades, this is how it went down. So Jays get Shane Bieber, crazy, earlier on this morning from the Cleveland Guardians in exchange for Jays' fifth-ranked prospect, Cal Steven. We'll break all these down in a second here. And then the second trade, which, God, it felt like nothing was going to happen. And we're like, this can't be a thing.
Yeah, you waited to
acquire Louis Varland from the Minnesota Twins, along with Ty France, in exchange for Kendry Rojas, who is the Jays, was the Jays, sixth-ranked prospect, fourth-ranked prospect, right in that mix. And former Jays top 5 prospect, Alan Roden, who we saw a lot this year, couldn't really find his legs at the big league level, at least as of yet. And that's the deals, boys. Clearly a hefty price for both guys. Well, it depends on what happens with Shane Bieber, I think, whether we look back at that as a hefty price. But Cole, we'll start with you, pal. How are we feeling?
I feel pretty good, to be honest. And I'll just kick it off right now. I would give it a B+, and I think that the three of us kind of sit in that range anyway. I feel pretty good. You mentioned we didn't just need a starter. We needed a front-end starter. Yep. We needed two, not just relievers, two back-end relievers. And we needed, ideally, a starting outfielder in our lineup. We didn't get the starting outfielder. We got the other two, assuming Shane Bieber comes back and is healthy and is, 2023, 2022 Shane Bieber, which isn't crazy to assume. He's not old. He's 31 years old, I believe, or 30 years old. So
he just turned 30 this year.
He just turned 30. So it's not a crazy assumption. His rehab starts have been really good. I think it was 19 strikeouts in 11 innings. 21 strikeouts in 11 innings. So, yeah, his rehab starts have been really good. And the stuff for Shane Bieber is still, when he was healthy, it's amongst the best spinning stuff in the league when it comes to his curveball, his slider, and his cutter. So by all means, he's got the metrics to be able to be that front end of the rotation kind of guy for us. And, we got Pete Walker. So that's one thing that no other team has. But here is what I think will make it a lot better to the audience when I pose this question. Who was the best starting pitcher who got moved at the deadline, who has the highest upside? And the answer is Shane Bieber. The next best starter would be, JP Sears, I guess.
Dylan Cease,
Merrill Kelly.
Merrill Kelly, those are so the Dylan Ceases, the Sandys, the Zach Gallens, the Mitch Kellers, the Luis Severinos, all of them, they stayed. So what already was a pretty watered down starting pitching market ended up being a zero market. There was no market for starting pitching.
Can I poke fun at Red Sox fans because they got blue balled by Joe Ryan? That felt good, boys.
Yahoo Sports really blue balled because when I saw that tweet, I entered a panic mode, and it just so relieving to not have to deal with Joe Ryan in our rotation for the next 2 years.
Yeah, see what the Yankees did to that bullpen, and you add Joe Ryan to a rotation that's already got Garrett Crochet in it. Oh my God, that would have been dreadful.
Yeah, we with our bullpen, all three of our guys, Jeff Hoffman, Sir Anthony Dominguez, and Louis Varland, have all closer potential. Every single one of them. I spent a large chunk of the podcast on Tuesday talking about the fact that Sir Anthony Dominguez is probably going to end up being our closer this year. all of his savant numbers that are notable are better than Jeff Hoffman's, and it's not particularly close. And I will go through those later on in this podcast, just to reiterate to the fans that might be watching this one instead of our previous one. And then, Louis Varland, not only does he have elite stuff and can be a potential closer for the future, I'm talking the next 5 years. That guy's not a free agent until 2031. Yeah, so crazy. By all means, I think that from a bullpen perspective, we're amongst top 5 in the league, which is where you wanted to be after this deadline and where we thought one of our major holes was, and probably our biggest hole. We all said that if we didn't get the power bat that we were looking for, worst comes to worst, it wasn't going to be a huge deal if you filled in the other holes, and that's kind of what happened. That's what happened.
Yeah, for me, I think a lot of the discourse amongst Blue Jays fans, the ones who are underwhelmed, which I would agree with you, Prof. I think that this has been. I think I'm okay with how it's gone. I don't behoove the people who are slightly underwhelmed, but I think the biggest reason why they seem to be underwhelmed is because of what the Yankees did. Obviously, getting David Bednar, a guy who we wanted the Jays to get, and obviously getting Camilo Doval there right at the buzzer. And obviously, what's the famous saying that comparison is the indictment on happiness or whatever? I don't know.
Something like that.
But whatever.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and the Jays improved their roster. The stuff that they did, their two biggest needs. What were they? Getting a couple high leverage bullpen arms and a starter, and that's exactly what they did. And here's the thing about the Yankees is that I was sort of in the headspace, and this is like a while ago, that the Yankees were going to make a splash. There was no doubt about it in my mind, and I thought the splash was going to be Eugenio Suarez, who I thought was going to hit 60 home runs in Yankee Stadium. Right. He plays 162 games there,
or one of the starters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the fact that the Red Sox obviously didn't, they got Dustin May instead of Joe Ryan, that's obviously underwhelming on their part. And yes, the Yankees bullpen now definitely looks scary, but I think that you were to not expect the Yankees to do anything. That was also a little, you were setting yourself up for failure in that regard.
I will say,
I think they did fail.
I will say in the Yankees front, I think this is where you're going with this, Cole. They got Doval, they got Bednar. Great, you got to get there.
Yeah.
They got Fried, they got Rodon. Who the hell's after that?
Yeah.
Do you trust Clark Schmidt? Do you trust
and the whole Max Fried of it all, man? I'm telling you that I wouldn't be surprised if that blister rears ugly head at some point. During the end of the season.
He hasn't been good.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's related to that blister. I mean, we saw, James, I know you were there. Aaron Sanchez was a Cy Young finalist, and that blister ruined his career. Blisters are no joke. But anyway, this is not Yankees talk. Let's talk about the Blue Jays.
Yeah, so let's. I was going to say let's take it trade by trade here. Let's go trade by trade and break it down, kind of how we feel about it. We'll give a letter grade for each one. So let's start with the one that happened first. Let's start with Shane Bieber. For Blue Jay fans that aren't familiar with his game or with his absolute ridiculous accolades that he's got. Yeah, he's a stud. Okay. That's been established. He's a Cy Young Award winner, won the pitching triple crown, Gold Glover, by the way,
in the COVID year, we gotta point that out.
we do have to point that out. And I feel like people forget it. I was actually one of those people that forgot that was the year, because Shane Bieber in my mind has been a relevant Cy Young favorite for 3 straight years when he was healthy. So I was surprised that of the years that he was the one that he won was the COVID year, which I don't respect at all. So it's
he had a 3.2 WAR in 10 starts. That's insane.
That's insane. He is a Cy Young level pitcher when he's healthy, but it was just funny when I found out that it was the COVID year.
So anyway, Pricey, we're going to grade the Shane Bieber trade, right? That's where we're headed?
That's where we're going with now, yeah. So you got a career 3.22 ERA. He's got almost an 18 WAR for his career. Guy's a stud. Flat out, when healthy, he's a stud. And actually, funny thing, before he went on Tommy John under the knife, he had 2 starts there in 24. He went 12 innings, didn't allow a run, walked 1 guy, and struck out 20.
Yeah.
So last time he saw at the major league level was awesome. Yes. I'll go first on this one. I love it. I absolutely love it. And obviously, there's a risk, which I'll talk about. But I was not in the majority of people who, I think most people would have said the biggest need of the trade deadline, bullpen. And I agreed. I thought that they didn't need to upgrade. But to me, and I said it on this podcast multiple times, to me, what really tripped me up about analyzing this team is that the lack of high-end upside in the rotation, to me, that was always a big impediment to me when it came to evaluating this team. And this past week against Baltimore only reinforced that. Chris Bassett and Jose Barrios are your 2 and 3. To me, that's a very scary proposition. Obviously, we know Bassett, how unplayable he is on the road, frankly, and Jose Barrios. The raw numbers still look okay, but you look under the hood, the baseball savant, the underlying metrics, he's not been impressive this season. He's just straightly not been that guy that he was the last couple of years. You needed to go out there and make a splash on the starting pitching market. The only problem was there was no splash to make. That's what we talked about. And not only like you said, Cole, like there were guys that we thought would be available, very few guys. They weren't even available.
Nope.
You know, Joe Ryan, evidently we heard about the Red Sox making a push. If they couldn't even get him with their elite farm system, that just shows that the price was obviously way too high for anybody. Yep. You know, obviously we saw Seth Lugo sign an extension. The Rangers ended up being good, so they didn't sell their 2 guys who would have obviously been front of the market as well.
Yeah.
There just wasn't a whole lot of guys. And I couldn't talk myself into the idea of Merrill Kelly or Mitch Keller or, you know, I heard, you know, people on Sports at 590 talk about Steven Matz yesterday. Like, what?
Yeah.
Steven Matz, 4 years ago, we didn't trust him in a playoff game. Now we're trust him now. I mean, he's been fine, I guess, but no, like that was not it. And obviously Shane Bieber coming off Tommy John on the other side of 30, his contract situation, there's obviously a lot of risk. But to me, this is a much better swing for this front office than going a high floor guy, another 3 and 4, Merrill Kelly. Yep. We have Merrill Kelly at home. I'm sorry, we do. We have a lot of guys that can fill that role. You need a guy with high upside. Maybe, perhaps, who knows? They could all blow up in their face. Maybe Shane Bieber totally looks completely, you know, not Shane Bieber-ish when he comes back from Tommy John and he ends up being a dud and he ends up leaving for nothing. That's obviously the nightmare scenario. But honestly, it's worth the risk. Say it again?
If he's a dud, he might pick up the option.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth the risk because there was no other guy who's going to start game 1 of a playoff series for you. When Shane Bieber is healthy, that's a front end starter. That's a guy who's going to start playoff games for you, and you feel good about it. Yeah. So obviously, it's a wait and see because there's a lot of risk involved. We all acknowledge that, but I think to me, I respect the way that this front office went out there and took a swing. It was a risk. You gave up a top 5 prospect in your system, a guy who was on track to be a top 100 prospect probably next year when some of the guys graduated. Yeah, that's a risk, and honestly, that's all you can ask for. There was no better option on the starting pitching market, and I thought they really needed the starting pitcher. I'm very happy with this trade. Even if it doesn't end up going well, I can't help but say that the process was great in this situation.
So what's your grade on this?
In the trade, I'm giving it an A. I'm giving it an A for process. An A for obviously result could be a D. You know, I'm leaving the door open. But in terms of the process, I make this trade 100 times out of 100 in this situation.
Yep, me too. And here's the thing. I think worst case scenario is Shane Bieber is mid and then he hits free agency and doesn't take his option. Because the other 2 very much more likely scenarios is he's a dud and he takes the player option, and then when we have a full year of Shane Bieber and a full offseason of trying to get Shane Bieber back to form. Or he's good. He's our game 1 starter. He takes the option. He's our ace next year. You get him in the playoffs next year, and then he takes on the 9-figure bet in the offseason. Because I fully anticipate him being. I fully anticipate him taking the option. I fully anticipate it.
I thought about that too, and the more I think about it, I thought at first, like you, like he's going to take the option. He was going to want to rebuild his value. Like right now, he's not going to get the massive deal he wants. Maybe if he has a full year, full spring training, full season under Pete Walker, that's more attractive for him. But the more I think about it, like Max Scherzer's 42 and he was broken and he got 16 million, right? Like that's like he's going to get more than 16 million most likely on the open market. So even if he wants to take a pillow contract, you know what I mean? Even if he wants to take, like, let's decline that option. Let's take a $20 million or a 2-year for 40 or a 2-year with an option.
Oh yeah, that's the more I think
about it, the more I think about it, the more I don't think he picks up that option. But here's another thing.
But we could
Blue Jays.
Yeah, we can give him that.
Just Blue Jays can pay him. They can absolutely pay him. And here's the thing: the Blue Jays will be incentivized to pay him because the last thing you want to do is give up a top 5 prospect in your system and let him walk for nothing.
Well, not only that, Rob, the Jays need arms next year, man.
Yes.
They got nothing. I mean, they're very, very thin in the rotation. So there's a lot of incentive.
Yeah, I 100% think he is a Toronto Blue Jay next year. Like,
and if that's the case, don't give a rat's ass who they gave up.
Yeah,
I could care less.
Yeah, because that's what you were afraid of. Like, oh, Cal Steven, with how fast he was rising in the prospect ranks, maybe he was a guy next year that could help your big league team. But now you got the guy. Now you get the guy that you know could be a part of your team.
Yeah. And you got your opening day starter. There's no debate. What is it going to be this guy? No. That's your guy. Yeah. Done. So if he is Shane Bieber. right? And that's obviously the case.
And
Funny thing,
isn't it nice to not have a pitcher who's 35 headlining your rotation?
Isn't it nice?
Have a guy
Our rotation got younger with this addition.
Yes, yes.
A 30-year-old, that's crazy, but it's true.
Yeah.
Rob, you mentioned right when you started talking about kind of playoff rotations and having your game one starter, and you mentioned a couple other guys. Is it a crazy take to think that Max Scherzer might get a start? Assuming he's healthy. Because look at the numbers, like obviously ERA, whatever. But
I do start him.
39 punch-outs in 35 innings, got a whip of 1.09. I mean, he's been walked eight guys to 39 strikeouts. He's been awesome, and let's be honest, recently it just seems like he's getting better and better each start out, and it's exciting.
If obviously Shane Bieber's healthy and pitching well, he's obviously in your front end rotation. Max Scherzer is my game 3 starter probably in the playoff series.
Big time
right now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think right now. Yeah. Like if I can have Jose Barrios be a game 4 starter, then I'm okay with that. Like, and Chris Bassett is obviously the odd man out here because actually here's the other thing. A home game.
Chris Bassett at home is a Cy Young candidate.
Yeah, at home, Jose Barrios might get skipped there too. Jose Barrios has a big next 2 months ahead of him if he wants to be one of our 3 starters in the postseason. And obviously, so does Max Scherzer, because Max Scherzer can also fall into that slot as well. If Jose Barrios is just what he's been this year,
or Max Scherzer just like he's a ticking time bomb, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It never resolve itself.
A lot of things will happen in the next 2 months.
Right? But Eric Lauer, next thing he's got. Not only does he have a next big 2 months, he's got a next big start. His next two starts are going to be big.
That's where we go next. I mean, Prof, I'm not sure if you gave your grade or James, you gave your grade. But
I agreed. I agreed.
Yeah,
I agreed. It's an A.
We gotta move on to Eric Lauer.
I'm gonna go A. It can be an A plus, assuming he resigns. If he resigns, it's A plus easy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Eric Lauer.
Yeah.
The Eric Lauer situation is what's going to go on moving forward.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
So there's 2 most likely scenarios, and it's either A, the Jays go to a 6-man with their very old rotation, which I'm okay with that as well, given how good Eric Lauer's been. Or B, Shane Bieber and Eric Lauer, as of like August 12th, are piggybacking off of each other until Eric Lauer eventually gets bumped to the long man role, and he helps out the Max Scherzer starts, or helps out the Chris Bassett starts on the road, or he helps out the Jose Barrios starts that go poorly in the first 3 innings. Like, I think I lean towards that. Just having Eric Lauer as a guy that will help you out wherever you need it, rather than just slotting him into your 6-man every 6 days. So that's where I lean. But I'm also open on any scenario.
I'm gonna go with your first point. I'm gonna go 6-man, just because we've seen it ad nauseum, right? How Kevin Gausman on 6-day arrest. We've all seen how that goes, and it goes very well quite often. And with Chris, I mean, all these old guys, right? An extra day off is never going to hurt them. We talked about how old this rotation is. You give Max an extra day off. You give Chris Bassett, hopefully at home, an extra day of rest.
Yeah, whatever you can skip to get him at home.
It never hurts. And you bring, and let's, come playoff time. I look, we all know how the starters go. They're not going to have the long leash. Right. 4 innings. So you can go with an Eric Lauer to maybe give you a couple of that. He's a perfect guy for that sort of situation come playoff time. But I think what happens when Bieber comes back, it's going to be a 6-man until then. And then Eric Lauer will probably end up in the bullpen. Assuming like he I don't know, has some sort of fault there, unless he just keeps just completely shoving every single night. Then it's like, boy, dude, is our hand forced to actually start this dude? Like, I don't know if we can get that far, but he's been so good.
So just to clarify, what you're saying is, because here's my thing, I need Shane Bieber in the big leagues as soon as possible.
Oh yeah,
I would like it to be one more rehab start and then he's in the big leagues. So to do that, you have to, I think, piggyback him with Lauer for a start to be able to accomplish this. If not 2 or 3 starts, and then what you're saying is you would then move Eric Lauer to the 6-man, and then you run a 6-man for the month of September, and then you decide what your playoff roster looks like come October.
I think the biggest issue.
Go ahead.
I think the biggest issue with the 6-man itself is that in August the rosters aren't expanded. So by having a 6-man rotation, now you have a week less in the bullpen. You'll have no long man at that point in the bullpen. Like right now, you still have the Paxton Schultz spot where you wouldn't have that if it's a 6-man rotation. And if one guy gets knocked out in the 3rd inning, guess what? Your leverage arms have to pitch that game. There's no other hope, right? So, and obviously we know how that could be rough. That could obviously have a snowball effect on the next game and the next series and all that. So for me, I would rather move to a 6-man in September if you're going to do it, because at least then you could have that extra roster spot.
And that's
Also,
probably how
another
it'll
thing
line
is,
up anyway.
Yeah, I don't.
yeah, and
I have
the
a
thing is,
feeling
I think you have 4 or 5 off days in August, right? So you can have, if it's about rest, you can give Kevin Gausman an extra day without having to go to the
Yeah,
6-man, right? So I think, to me, ideally, in an ideal world, give Shane Bieber as much as he needs in the rehab. I mean, obviously he's very close. He pitched very well at the Double-A in Akron his last rehab start, so I'd imagine he probably goes right to Buffalo for his next rehab start.
Yeah.
If that goes well, I mean, he's maybe give him another one just to be safe, and you keep rolling the 5-man as it is right now, and hopefully by the middle of August you wean him in. You know, you kind of have the Eric Lauer piggyback of it all, and then that's going to be the plan moving forward. And hopefully by September you can go to the 6-man if you really want to, or you can have, kick Eric Lauer out. Unfortunately, as unfortunate it is to say, that he's probably the odd man out, not because he deserves it, but because we all know how political this gets. He's the one on the minor league deal while the other guys are making serious bank, right? So it's hard to ask any of those guys to move out, right? I mean, I get why you'd want Eric Lauer to keep pitching, because he's factually been your best pitcher for a while now with the way you pitch, but it's a really good problem, but also a really tough one for sure. I think that what ends up happening, and it's obviously always the boring answer, something is going to happen that's going to make this decision probably easier than we think it is. That's how it usually goes.
It absolutely does. I mean, they all have a way of working themselves out, right? Yeah. And also, it's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
Like, we're not firing out Robinson Pina to try and open a game for you, or Wilmer Font to try and open a game for you.
Bowden Francis.
I didn't want to bring his name up, but there we go. Had to bring him up. Anyway, that guy's. We're not seeing him this year. There's no. Gone curtains.
Not only that, like people.
I'd be cool to see him ever again.
Not only
I wouldn't blame you, brother.
That's not even a name that comes to mind when you're worried about, or not worried, but when you're talking about guys you're not going to see. For this entire year, we've always thrown in at the end of our talks, like, and maybe Alek Manoah comes back in August.
Yeah, I was going to say what happens with Eric Lauer, what happens with Alek Manoah now, and that's really the interesting question of it all. I mean, the obvious answer would be that you just option to AAA, because
they're going to have to, because I think
many guys,
once they start, it was kind of what happened to him. His injury before the Tommy John, or brace surgery, or whatever he ended up having, where they had to make a choice. What are they going to do? Option him, calling him back up after a 30-day span. Well, now that he's already started his rehab, that clock's ticking. So they're going to have to make that decision. And I think it's a pretty easy one, right? Optioning him to the minors, get him built up, go from there.
Yeah, spring training kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with the acquisition of Shane Bieber, and with how good a guy like Eric Lauer has been, there's no rush for these two.
No,
there really isn't. You don't need to rush a guy up here because one guy's faltering completely. No, you're good. Just, Shane Bieber especially. Figure it out. But anyways, boys, we can move on to the next one. We can move on to the second trade, where, let's be honest, we were bubbling in the chat because we're like, okay, clock's ticking, Ross. And we're watching the Yankees get Doval. We're watching them get Bednar. And we're like, okay, we love Anthony Dominguez, but we need another one. And then Ken Rosenthal's like, the Jays are, one last big push for Stephen Kwan and Griffin Jackson. We're like, oh, no, my God. You imagine what that price would have been? Like, that would have been stupid for both of those guys, considering what
would the Jays equivalent have been of Taj Bradley? Because that's what the Twins ended up getting for Griffin Jackson.
Taj Bradley?
That's what they got, yeah.
Is that all they got?
No way.
I think that's all they got.
No, there's no shot. Taj Bradley's been complete ass.
Okay, you keep going, I'll get it.
Yeah, go ahead, Pricey. Yeah.
But bottom line, Louis Varland was obviously the big piece acquired by the Blue Jays. Cole mentioned it off the top. He's not a free agent until 2031. He's having an outstanding season this year. All the underlying numbers look great. The baseball savant looks awesome. Lots of reds everywhere. It's beautiful, beautiful stuff. And another guy to add to the latter half of the bullpen that's going to be in very big leverage situations. And you've got him for a crap load of time. So we know Ross and Mark get all horned up for their years of control. Well, boy, they made it happen there. And by the way, the Jays also got Ty France. For what reason? I got no idea, brother. No clue.
I'm going to shock you guys. I got reasons.
Okay, well, I'd love to hear them in a second. So when it took the Jays to trade him away, Kendry Rojas, the young lefty who just got to AAA Buffalo at 22 years old, nasty stuff, strikeout stuff off the charts. Very unfortunate to see him go. I really didn't want to, just of how fast he's risen through the minor leagues, and he's just dominated everywhere he's gone. And he's at AAA at 22. He's younger than Cal Steven is, I believe, or around the same age at least. And also, our beloved on Blue Jay Center, Alan Roden, we chatted with a couple times in Buffalo. But you know what? Again, like we said off the top, hadn't figured out in the big leagues. You watch the kind of the way he plays. I don't know how that's going to go come big league time for him. But we'll see. Rob, want to start us off here, bud? What do you think of this one?
Absolutely. I think that the Blue Jays obviously got a very good pitcher in not Griffin Jones, Louis Varland, the guy who throws hard. A guy who throws hard, 94th percentile in fastball velo, 95th percentile in ground ball. So not the strikeout artist that some of the other guys in our bullpen are, but that's okay because we have quite a bit of those. He is a guy who gets a ton of ground balls. He's as good of a reliever as there is when it comes to getting ground balls. A lot of weak contact, even the swing and miss stuff. I mean, he hasn't gotten a ton of strikeouts, but the swing and miss stuff has been there. He's like in the 60th percentiles in whiff and K rate, which, yeah, it's not like crazy, but it's also not nothing. It's also not like a guy who strikes out 5 for 9, right? So he's a guy who I think definitely he's got the stuff that will work well. He is platoon neutral, and by platoon neutral, I mean he's good on both sides. Not him on good sides, like the righties and the lefties both don't have a lot of success against him. Obviously, being a righty, you would expect the lefties to have more success, which they do, but I think he's got an OPS in the 690s against for lefties, and it's like 5-something for righties. So yeah, he eliminates the righties, he eliminates the lefties. He's good against both. You don't have to really worry about the platoon for him. He's a guy who's going to factor in the Blue Jays late inning leverage role. And here's the thing. Kendry Rojas, you mentioned, sad to see him go. I was surprised they traded him, but at the same time, I think with these prices, you can't be surprised because, as I mentioned on this trade on the show, the Major League Trade Deadline is a seller's market now. You're paying legitimate assets for everybody now. You're no longer getting bargains. There's no bargain bin shopping here, right? And here's the thing about the Blue Jays. You have their tier 1 prospects. Obviously, you have the Arjun Amalas, you have the Trey Savages, which I'll be honest, guys, I'm not sure there was a player that was traded at this deadline who I would have moved either Savage or an Amala for, me personally. I mean, you could make the argument some of those late inning Yankee relievers that they got, maybe I wouldn't have done that personally. I think that that's not good value for the prospects. But Kendry Rojas is in that next tier. He's in that B tier of Blue Jays prospects. Him, Cal Steven, Johnny King, maybe he has a higher upside, but he's also 18 and multiple years away from the big league. So Kendry Rojas being a guy who's Kendry Rojas being in AAA, like that is as good of a prospect as you're going to trade, not named Savage or Namala in the Blue Jays system right now. As attractive as it gets. Obviously, Ricky Tiedemann's ranked higher. I can't imagine Ricky Tiedemann has more value than Kendry Rojas right now. So they paid a hefty penny. They were aggressive. They went out and there's no prospect huddling here. They went out there and paid a legit price. And unfortunately, would you have liked to get a bona fide closer for a guy like Kendry Rojas? Yes. David Bednar, Camilo Doval, yes. Would I rather have those guys than Louis Varland? Sure. But they were aggressive, and in the end, they got a very good reliever who's going to be an important part of the back end of the bullpen. This trade, considering the price and considering also the comparison side of it with the Yankees, I'd probably give this one a B+.
Yeah, I was going to go down a little further just to a B, just because of the price you paid, and then of the closers that did get dealt at the deadline, including Mason Miller, which I think was the heftiest price tag that went at the deadline, the top 3 prospect in baseball, which we're not saying that was a trade that we would have been willing to make, but those are the Mason Miller is who you would have traded Arjun Amala or Trey Savage for. And I don't even know if I would have. So
I wouldn't have, yeah. That's just me.
And I completely, I don't know how I feel about it. Anyways, on the Jacks trade, yes, Taj Bradley was the only thing that went back. He's a 24-year-old starting pitcher who has been in the big league since he was 22 years old.
That's crazy.
But he hasn't been good. He's been a below-average pitcher every year, whether it's Savant or ERA plus that you want to go off of. Maybe he has a good Sierra number. I didn't have time to look at it here. But our equivalent, I think, would have been Ricky Tiedemann. Like, I legitimately don't think.
Come on. He's not in the big leagues. He's off Tommy John. That's not the same thing.
You're telling me that a guy like you could.
I don't know.
You're telling me a Kendry Rojas and Alan Roden couldn't have got that done?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't understand.
here's what I think. I think that they actually pursued Jax and they were told no. Like, this is what this package gets you Varland. That's probably what they were told. You know what I mean? That's what I'm assuming. I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't there, but
If you're the Twins in this situation,
Taj
you want a
Bradley
guy
doesn't make
like
any
Todd.
sense.
No, you want a guy like that, or you want a prospect in Rojas, who's a young, incredible lefty. You know, and then like, cause obviously, I think people value lefties higher than righties. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's the case. And when it comes to pitchers,
Yep. No, they do. They do.
yeah. So that's why I just don't understand what the deal was there with not getting Jackson. The Rays just, I don't know.
Yeah, Bradley doesn't make any sense to me, so I do think we would have had the price to pay for Jackson.
Yeah, that's why it didn't make any sense to me. But I now, Cole, do you want to give your grade, or do you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah. So I give it a B.
Okay.
But I'll give you the Ty France surprising stats that and this is, I'm being kind of facetious by all means, because I agree the Ty France move didn't make any sense. He's an infielder, and not a particularly great one. And from a batting perspective, he literally doesn't offer any more upside than Ernie Clement does, in my opinion. So at least Ernie Clement can play top level defense when he's, or at least sometimes
when he's not at Camden Yards.
Yeah, when he's not at Camden Yards. But I'm going to give you my facetious stat, and then I'm going to give you a more reasonable stat.
Go for it.
Ty France, when he bats 8th in your lineup.
Oh, brother. Okay.
Which he's done for 86 plate appearances.
This year?
No, in his career.
Okay.
Yeah. Not a nothing sample. Not
very
large.
granular.
1,000 OPS.
Stud.
1,000 OPS if you bat him 8th. The other actual stat that I wanted to give you, he's got an 800 OPS, a plus 800 OPS in with runners in scoring position. Okay. So, the Justin Turner-esque move that the Jays had to make that offseason, and we were all clamoring over how good he was with runners in scoring position. Then he was shit. But Ty France, good with runners in scoring position. That's all I really got for you. He's a free agent. He, in all likelihood, will be coming back next year. But Louis Varland, yeah, sign me up. There's zero I have wrong to say about Louis Varland, and I actually think his K percentage and whiff percentage will go up being a Toronto Blue Jay.
Okay, so would you give it a grade? So you said B2, right?
B, yeah. B because of the closures that went and the price that was paid for Duvall and Griffin Jacks. Well, and Mason Miller, but Mason Miller went for a top 3 prospect in baseball. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, what did Duvall end up going for? If you guys know, by any chance?
I'll pick it up.
Okay. Well, I'll just say my thing first off. My grade. I'll say a B minus. As much as again, love Louis Varland. Love what he's going to bring. Great player. Obviously, lots of control, which is really nice to add to the bullpen. Hearing what Taj Bradley that just twist the knife a little bit more. I'm like, I was a B, and I'm like, screw it, B minus. That pissed me off.
But wasn't Taj Bradley like a legit prospect at one point? He's still young, and maybe the Twins think they can make something out of him. It's not as if they trade him for a journey.
That must be the case.
Yeah, no, I'm sure all of that is the case. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I say B minus just because I was really, really high on Kendry Rojas. The stuff, filthy. The strikeout stuff. Even though in his one outing in Buffalo, it didn't go great. He still had 8 strikeouts. Like, he was still K'ing dudes out. And I was ready to see him. I wouldn't say in September, but, God, he'd be pushing for a spot next year, right? At one point in time. So that was something I was really excited to see. Obviously, that's not the case. Roden's got a soft place in our hearts. Doesn't mean a whole lot there. But B minus, I think, because you didn't get the bat in the deal is, well, you got a bat, and not a great one at that. But, well, unless he's hitting 8.
Yeah,
unless he's hitting 8. So then we're fine.
Oof.
I'll say B minus. Go. What do you got?
Yeah. For me, before you go, Cole, like I think the bat is separate. Like the bat, I put that in a separate category. I'm giving Shane Bieber an A, a B plus on this move, and a D for the bat because obviously there was no bat. You got a guy who
that's what we're doing.
Offers you nothing. So I think to me like that averages out to about a B plus.
The B minus, I just didn't like how much we gave up for.
That's fair.
A reliever. I mean, you look at I hate to do this, but let's do it because we all know how volatile relievers are. Louis Varland's numbers before this year did no bueno. Albeit he only pitched 16 games last year, 17 the year before. An ERA of 7.61 last year, a negative 1.4 WAR last year. It was no good at all. This is his first good year. Now he hasn't had a lot of time to prove it. And just with how volatile relievers are as a little scale. That's why I love this Anthony Dominguez trade, because it's like, dude's done it. He's done it for so long. He's just a flat out stud. So a little risky, a lot of prospect haul. That's what worried me a bit.
Yep, I actually agree with that, and it gives me at least we didn't trade an everyday Silver Slugger for him, because it does give me Eric Swanson chills, but I expect Louis Varland to be significantly better than Eric Swanson. So
Eric Swanson trade was terrible.
Looking back, it's in a so just on the Eric Swanson thing, we've now had a seller's market for 3 straight years or 4 straight years. And the Eric Swanson trade is still the worst trade that's ever been made for a reliever. It's still the worst trade.
Yes.
An everyday Silver Slugger. Get the fuck out of here. I looked
Adam Macko when you need him.
Oh God, yeah. So I found I got the Doval trade, and just to put it simply, this article says the Giants got a better haul for Rogers than they did for Doval. Rogers who's 34 years old, Doval's who's 27 with team control. This was the haul. Yankees number 19 prospect and 25 prospect, and then 2 unranked prospects.
What the hell?
This guy said the only consolation in this deal was that the number 25 prospect in Jesus Rodriguez is an MLB level or an MLB ready catcher prospect. But yeah, this guy said it's worse than the Rogers haul, which is insane.
Well, obviously the only explanation is that the Giants knew that the anti-gambling lawsuit would come on Camilo Doval immediately after this trade.
Yeah, he's about to get investigated. That's clearly what's happening. Him and Taj Bradley.
Taj Bradley. I'm in a nightmare with that guy now. Griffin Jacks could be a Blue Jay.
Yeah, so that's bad. Doval and Griffin Jacks could be a Blue Jay. That's bad. But
no,
I love our bullpen. Regardless, I love the bullpen.
Okay.
And here's the problem with the Yankees. I don't give a shit that they got Doval. I still don't think they filled their biggest needs. One of their biggest needs was a third baseman who could play defense, which whatever. You got Ryan McMahon, but he sucks offensively. And then you needed starting pitching. They didn't get starting pitching. And then you needed,
nobody got a starting pitcher actually.
Nobody got starting pitching.
Yeah.
And then you needed a back-end reliever, which sure you got in Bednar and Doval, but the bullpen is only if you get there. It's only if you can get to the 5th inning and the 6th inning with a comfortable score.
Let me ask you guys this question. Let's say the Jays did what the Yankees did. Without getting the star that we all agree they needed, they went out and did better on the bullpen front. Like if they gave up Cal Steven and Kendry Rojas and got Camilo Doval and the David Bednar, but didn't get any starter at all. And
no. So that's what I'm saying. I prefer what we did than what the Yankees did. I do think we did better than I think we did better than every AL East team.
They got the bigger names.
Yeah.
Right. They got the bigger names, but that doesn't always win you ball games.
No,
so.
I don't think
especially when they're relievers. The big names are relievers too. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
And
what's Doval's contract like, or what's his years left?
He's got team control.
Does he really? I feel like he's been around forever. But Bednar's got a year and a half. We know that because we wanted him.
Also, I don't know if you guys
free agent 2028.
This is a very stats analytically driven show, but there's this Giants podcast and Twitter page that I've seen come up in my feed, and he's a very passionate Giants guy. Okay. And he is not very high on Camilo Doval, from what I understand. It feels like every time he comes to the game, he's like, "Oh, here we go, time to sweat again." You know what I mean? Time to have a heart attack again. You know, right? So obviously, this is a fan. This is a fan who's out there making videos from his basement like we are. But for what it's worth, the big Giants fans, they're a little hesitant on Camilo Doval. But who knows? Maybe he's a Devin Williams. Maybe he's a guy who he's great in a small market and it's fine. But when you put the right lights on him, he tends to
Last thing before Cole jumps in here, David Bednar has also never closed a game that actually meant something. So there's that as well.
Yeah, that's true. Doval.
So Anthony Dominguez went face-to-face in the World Series and dominated. He dominated some really good Astros hitters that World Series. So
Louis Varland.
For what that's worth, I'd agree.
Oh, on that note, check Shane Bieber's stats against the best players in the world. He owns them. Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, who was the other guy? I forget the other guy. Chris Black tweeted out, so by all means, you can just go to his Twitter account. but good luck. It's obviously been very busy today. But yeah, he owns the best hitters in baseball. Oh, Vlad was the other one. He's made Vlad look silly. Has a lot of pitchers have, but he's handled the best players in the world, and that's a good sign. Doval, ever since his rookie year, has a 1.29 whip. So basically a 1.3 whip. So yeah, definition of not clean. Nothing clean.
Interesting.
There you go.
His baseball savant though is all red.
Here's also one thing I wanted to say because I wasn't there for the Sir Anthony Dominguez. Obviously, I concur with you guys. I love the trade. I think that there's nothing not to like about Sir Anthony Dominguez. He checks all the boxes in terms of a guy who throws hard, misses a ton of bats. Obviously, the postseason resume is there. By all accounts, the guys in Baltimore love them. So for the off-field stuff, that's obviously always a good thing. It seems to be a guy who the guys like. The only knock on him that you could have is that he walks too many guys, and he does walk guys. But my point is that, like, if you're ever going to excuse pitchers who walk guys, it's the type that get a ton of swing and miss and don't give up any hard contact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the perfect combination. You're okay with like every other game, he'll walk two guys, have a 28 pitch inning, but ultimately not be burned by a 3-run home run. It to me, I think it's the complete opposite of Jeff Hoffman, whereas Jeff Hoffman is a guy who, like Sir Anthony Dominguez, throws hard, strikes guys out. He doesn't walk anybody, but he's also capable of giving up a 480-foot bomb. Every other outing out there. I'd rather have the guy who has command issues rather than the guy who has long ball issues, personally.
And that's a huge thing.
100%.
That's a huge thing. Obviously, we saw what happened. Rob, you and I were at that Yankees game, right? It was just dingers all the time, and it was just painful to watch. And bringing in a guy like Sir Anthony Dominguez, who's allowed I think it's 4 homers this year, or something like that.
Yeah.
And Louis Varland's allowed 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Derek Green allowed 14 before he was DFA'd.
Yeah, and here's the thing. In hard hit percentage, which is a very good indicator of whether or not you're going to give it the long ball, Doval, 55th percentile. Sir Anthony Dominguez, 88th percentile. And Louis Varland, I assume, is even higher. Yeah. Actually, Louis Varland gets hit hard. Very hard, actually. He's in the 34th percentile.
Ooh.
36th percentile, yeah. So he might have some home run issues, but Sir Anthony Dominguez doesn't, and Camille Doval does.
Wow. Well, you know what, boys? I do want to do one thing here.
I do have one more note too, yeah.
For all the Blue Jay fans that are like, damn, we just traded 3 top 10 prospects, 3 top 10 pitching prospects in the organization. But we talked about it. Well, yeah, I was going to say just prospects, but yeah. We talked about it on the pods. Teams love young pitching, right? And the Jays use that to their advantage. Now, they still have studs, young studs coming through the system. Obviously, Trey Savage leading the charge. Had a rough couple starts to start his AA career. And then in his last outing, just 4 no-hit ball, didn't walk anybody and struck out 5. I mean, just stud. Johnny King, who's the Jays' now 4th-ranked prospect. Dude, the swing and miss is ridiculous through this kid. He just turned 19. The command is no bueno, but he's got to figure that out, right? In his last outing, he went 3 innings, allowed 1 hit, hit 3, walked 3, but struck out 7 over 3 innings.
Yeah.
That's just the kind of thing you got. And he's a lefty and he's only 19 years old. You got called up to Dunedin. He's got an ERA of 2.25. I mean, he's been outstanding. Ricky Tiedemann may be back shortly. And Gage Stanifer, I brought his name up once on this pod. He has flown through the rankings. He wasn't even ranked going into the season. He is now the Jays' 5th overall prospect.
Wow.
He has flown because they have figured something out with him. In Dunedin, he pitched 26 innings. Were there any starts? There were no starts for him, but he had an ERA of 0.69 and had 38 punch-outs in 26 innings. Proceeded to go to Vancouver. They had him in the pen. They're like, you know what? Let's start working him as a starter. It took him a while to get that going a bit. ERA's up to 4.30. But in 44 innings, he's got 73 strikeouts.
Holy shit.
And his last outing was easily his best, where he went 5 innings of 1 hit ball, walked 1, and struck out 8. And he is 21 years old at Vancouver. So, those guys are still in your top 10.
Yeah.
You're still good. And a guy that I mentioned last year, Fernando Perez, who is 21 years old at Vancouver. He's sitting there comfy at a 3.43 ERA in Vancouver as well. And he's like your 13th ranked prospect. You still got guys.
Yep.
So
there's 3 guys. I don't think that people understand. 3 guys that could legitimately be in our rotation next year. Alec Manoah, Ricky Tiedemann, and Trey Savage. Yeah. All 3 of those guys can be in the rotation next year. All 3 of those guys can be in the rotation in 2027. So by all means, we didn't lose any guys in terms of like rotation options heading into the next 2 years when your window is still, pretty wide open. And regarding the lineup, there won't be an issue in the postseason if your $500 million player is a power hitter, and if your other 9-figure player, what was it, 3 years, 80 million, or 3 years for Anthony Santander? Anthony Santander,
it was 9 figures. It was 9 figures, no?
Right. It was a 3 years, 100 million. Is that what it was?
No, I think it was a 5-year deal. But
okay. Anyway, if your 2 9-figure players can play like 9-figure players, then the lineup will be fine. The lineup will be 100% postseason capable. So
I was wrong. 92 million. 92 over 5 was his contract.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. So anyway, but that's my point, is that your lineup should be fine if your guys play like they're supposed to play like, and Vladdy's at the top of the list. And luckily, like we talked about on Tuesday, Vladdy has had a significantly better second half so far. So, and with some power, which is the big part that we've all been talking about all year. So by all means, this team is still built for the postseason, which is at the end of the day all that actually matters. And the other thing
definitely much more built than they were on the pitching side. The pitching is much believable after this deadline. You added 2 high leverage arms. You added a guy who, in theory, could start a playoff game for you. I think that absolutely they're more equipped for the playoffs after this trade deadline. Hitting side, yes. I mean, would I have loved Ramon Laureano? Would Ramon Laureano have made this an A deadline? Absolutely. Yeah. But like you said, Cole, I think here's the thing. You can't have like a massive shopping list when you run this payroll. You know what I mean? Like at some point, you need your investments to give you some return, to give you some value. And Vladdy's starting. He's starting to look closer to that $500 million player, and hopefully Anthony Santander can when he comes back if he comes back, obviously. Yeah. And look, I think it's huge that obviously this homestand you're going to get Dalton Varsho and George Springer back most likely, possibly Alejandro Kirk too. So. Well, the offense that we saw in Baltimore that didn't look overly impressive, it's going to get a big jolt this weekend.
Yeah, and that's without even mentioning Anthony Santander or Andres Jimenez or our more bullpen help and Jimmy Garcia and Nick Sandlin if Nick Sandlin can come back in form. So by all means, on top of this trade deadline, there's a ton of reinforcements that we've went this entire 3 months of great baseball without that are all coming back eventually, and hopefully will be back healthy. So, and I think the best part is you can also assume that because of the stretch the Jays went on, these guys and their progress have been delayed. Not because they're having setbacks, but because they're not being rushed. The Jays don't need to rush any of them back because we've been able to hold water and then some, and we've built ourselves a cushion. So, by all means, maybe they don't come back until September. So what? Like, having them all come back in September healthy is more important than having them come back in August at 80%.
Oh, if Tony comes back,
Prof, you said you said the AL East is a lock. Is it still a lock?
So, after overreacting to the Yankees and the Red Sox deals before the 6 p.m. deadline came in the group chat, I do still think the AL East is a lock. Because I still think that this team is better than the Yankees, and I do think that we're better than the Red Sox. And I more so think that they're not going to be good enough to outplay us the rest of the way, which is what they need to do because of the lead that we've got.
That's the thing. That's the big thing. You don't have to be better than the Yankees. You just have to be like within 3 games better than the Yankees. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, and that's what I think we will be. Maybe on paper you can go spot for spot and come up with the conclusion that the Yankees and the Red Sox are a better roster than you. Sure, I'll hear you out on that. But are they going to be 4 games better than you the rest of the way? I don't think so.
Bottom line, fellas, quick look at the bullpen before we wrap this thing up and do a little, little standings update, because why not do that? The bullpen, let's go on like the guys you trust, and let's just, I think it's pretty damn straightforward. So assuming everybody is healthy, all right, let's put that out there, caveat right away. Nick Sandlin, when he's out there, if he ever comes back, yes, absolutely. So there's one. Yariel.
He's also your eighth reliever now. He's also your eighth reliever.
There
now.
you
So
go, right?
For an eighth reliever, that's great.
Yeah, seventh or eighth, but yes.
Yeah, so you got that. You got Yariel, right?
Absolutely.
We definitely trust Yariel. Brendan Little
Absolutely.
makes me sweat, but gets the job done.
Yeah.
Hoffman, I mean, Rob and I talked in the chat.
Same thing, makes you sweat.
Homers, but yes, he gets it done.
It done.
There's that. There's 4. And Jimmy Garcia, when healthy, boom, you trust them.
That's the one that I'm putting an asterisk on that one because I don't know how he's gonna look like when he gets back. I think that's important. Like, remember last year when he came back?
Being healthy.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Braden Fisher, there's 6. Yep. I trust him with everything.
I put an asterisk on him, but that's fine.
That's fine. Sir Anthony Dominguez,
with him.
There's 7.
Yeah.
And holy crap, was there one more somewhere? Am I missing someone?
I think you might have knocked down everybody.
You missed.
The newest acquisition.
You missed
Louis Varland. Hey now.
Yeah,
there we go.
hey now.
8. So there's 8 dudes in the bullpen that if you go out there in a situation, you're like, hey, put me up to 0, you feel confident that they're going to do so, which is awesome to feel, boys.
If your rotation,
it's a really good bullpen.
If you can rely on your rotation to just get you 5 in October, then this bullpen's perfect.
Absolutely.
Yep.
This bullpen can make you that, like, can give you that luxury. Is, hey, Chris, we just need 5. We just need 5 2 innings or 5 innings of 2-run ball from you. Just give us that. That's all we ask.
Yep, no doubt.
Absolutely.
All right, boys. Well, we're going to wrap it up with a little standings update. Obviously, the Jays not in action today. Yankees beat the Rays today 7-4 at Yankee Stadium. The Rays stink now, but yet they're going to go buy Griffin Jacks. Like, what the hell are we doing? But anyways, with that being said, the Yankees are now 3.5 behind the Blue Jays. Red Sox 5 back of the Blue Jays. But the way that I look at it is this, and Cole and I talked about it in the last pod. We have the season series against both teams.
Massive.
In hindsight, you are 4.5 up in the Yankees and 6 up on the Red Sox. And another way I like to look at it is this.
Yep.
You have 3 less losses than the Yankees. That's important. You have 5 less losses than the Red Sox. And that's kind of the way I look at it. That's kind of like your little buffer that you have. Now, games back, I look at that a different way. That's kind of the way I like to look at it as well. Hey, you win your ball game. You don't add to that column. Let's go. Let's keep buzzing. And the fellas can start doing that tomorrow. Look, there's a series against the Dodgers coming up next week. But before then, you have 3 against KC this weekend and 3 in Colorado against the Rockies. Beat them down.
Okay? And Vladdy and Springer and Bo Bichette like California, and they like Dodger Stadium. So, by all means, with the Dodgers reeling over the last month, also a winnable series.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Rockies, who are 28-80. Good Lord.
Is that a must sweep?
It's a must sweep, but it's also it's a trap because we haven't been able to do that
with
the White Sox.
So, all right, I don't know if you guys know this one. So the second worst run differential in baseball is the Athletics at -117. Do you know what the Rockies are?
I'm going to go on a limb. Let me say -180.
Cool.
I'll go -160.
-277.
Oh my god.
Dog water.
So they have to be the worst team ever. Like, in that short
300 run differential. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is pathetic ball.
God.
That is awful.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
it's a must sweep. It's officially a must sweep.
It's officially a must sweep. But I'll say this. Over the 6 games between the Rockies and the Dodgers, give me 4-2. That's all I ask.
Yep. That works.
That works. Win a series against KC. We're in good shape. All right, boys. That's going to do it, boys. Trade deadline come and gone. We talk all year about getting to this date. It's gone. Now, 2 months left.
Time to figure out your playoff roster. Yeah.
Stretch, run, baby. Rogers Center's going to be bumping tomorrow. The weekend's going to be great. Fellas, thank you so much for coming on. Rob, Cole, it was a blast as always. Shane from behind the scenes, it was awesome as per usual. And for all Blue Jay fans out there, go Jays.
Go Jays.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Blue Jays Center on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.